Our advanced scheduling tool will give you additional power and flexibility when it comes to meeting your more complex scheduling needs. Schedules can be generated based upon your organization's requirements to help control your labor costs and improve overall productivity. With this scheduling tool, you will have access to a rules engine that will ensure that you have eligible and qualified employees scheduled into each shift. You will also gain tools to help manage open shifts and empower your employees to better manage their own schedules. Let's begin by taking a look at our Scheduling Manager's dashboard. Our schedule dashboard is set up to provide additional insight into the information that we need to help us better manage our schedules. Keep in mind that these tiles that we see here are completely configurable to provide us with the tools needed to be successful in our day-to-day activities. In this example, we have a tile to flag any open shifts that need to be filled. We also have a couple of tiles here that show us how many hours are scheduled across different departments or jobs within our organization. And finally, we have a tile that is showing us all of the schedules that have been created for this company, allowing us quick access to review or make edits to an existing schedule. Now, perhaps our scheduling manager needs to set up a new schedule for an upcoming week. To do this, we will first need to open this report. From here, we can create a new schedule. And first, we will need to identify the schedule that we will be building. In this case, we are looking at one master schedule across the entire company, but you can also set up separate schedules across different locations or departments as needed. Then we will need to identify the start date for this schedule. Now, there are multiple ways that you can create schedules within the system. For static or non-fluctuating schedules, you can create a schedule template and auto-generate the schedule week over week. These schedules are still important, allowing you to track attendance and time away from work, but these can be automated to free up your time for other initiatives. We can also create schedules based upon volume. Volume-based scheduling will allow you to import volume and create your shifts based upon forecasted data. The last way to create schedules is to begin with a workload template, which outlines the general shift requirements. So let's take a look at an example of using a workload template. Again, we are creating one schedule across the entire company. However, you could have a separate template for each location or department as well. So now that we have selected our template, our shifts have been identified and are color-coded for easy identification. The next step is to generate the shifts for open coverage. This will move the open shifts from the template to the schedule so we can schedule employees into those open shifts. So now let's take a look at this schedule. Under the open shift panel here on the left, we can see all of the open shifts displayed. We can easily assign the open shifts manually right from here. Now, rather than assigning all of these shifts manually, we can also auto-assign these shifts to help save time as we build out our schedule. This act of auto-assigning shifts does take a few minutes to populate out the schedule. During this process, it is looking at each employee's availability, what skills they have, and what cost centers they can work in. In addition, it's also looking back to our advanced scheduling rules. These rules will ensure that there are not any scheduling violations. Keep in mind that these rules can be configured based upon your specific business needs. So for example, you can set up rules based on number of hours scheduled per day or per week, which will prevent an employee from being scheduled into an overtime situation. Once the shifts have been automatically assigned, we can view the fully populated schedule. And as you can see, we can easily review and manage the schedule on a day-by-day basis. When you refresh your screen, you can see the total number of scheduled hours and any unfilled hours across the entire schedule. And you will get visibility into the labor costs associated with this schedule as well. Now, you also have the ability to set budgets for your schedule to limit the labor costs associated with this schedule if needed. You can also group this schedule by cost center to get better visibility into each location, department, job, etc. So with just a click of a button, we have reorganized our schedule to see a breakdown of each cost center to help ensure that we have the right coverage. Also, you will notice that each shift on the schedule is color-coded for easier schedule management. This schedule has been auto-populated for us, but we still may need to review it and make edits before posting the schedule for our employees. So in this example, let's say that we need to add an additional shift. We are now brought to our shift management tool where we can easily identify the shift date and time. So let's change the shift time to begin at 8 a.m. and end at 4 p.m. Next, we will need to define the shift qualifications. So in other words, we will need to determine which cost center and the associated skill or job that we are adding to this schedule for this new shift. And finally, we can assign the employee for this newly created shift. As you can see, we are brought to a list of employees who are available and eligible to take this shift. This list is considering all of your scheduling rules to prevent any scheduling violations. On the Others tab, you can see an example of how the system filters out any employees that do not qualify for a shift based upon your scheduling rules. It will check for skill and cost center eligibility, overlapping shifts, overtime, time off, and availability, etc. Let's select our qualified employee to fill this shift. Once we have selected the employee, we can view that employee's full schedule details and compare it to their defined availability. Then we can save this shift and it will be posted to the schedule. We can also adjust the existing assigned shifts by clicking on this shift right here on the schedule itself. As you can see, a pop-up card appears which will allow us to get increased visibility into this shift. This allows us to delete the shift, copy the shift, unassign the employee from the shift, and manage the shift. Now this is the same functionality that we saw when we added a new shift. We can change the date or the time for this shift. We can also split this shift. We can change the cost center or the skill associated with this shift, or we can assign a different employee to fill this shift. Now remember, this view is looking at one day at a time, so we can toggle to review each day on this schedule, making adjustments as we go. We can also view the entire week at once. Here we have the same level of visibility as the day view, but on a larger scale. We can still get visibility into each shift by accessing the pop-up card, and we can make adjustments as needed. Now within the week view, we can also get additional visibility into approved and pending time off requests to better manage our schedule. Keep in mind that if an employee takes a day of vacation after the schedule has been posted, the approved time off request will take the place of the shift on the schedule, unassigning the employee and creating an open shift that needs to be filled. You can require that your employees fill these open shifts themselves, or the schedule manager can handle this process. Now, once we have finished reviewing the schedule, filled all open shifts, and reviewed any scheduling constraints, then this schedule should be ready to be posted. After the schedule has been posted, the system will update the schedules for the employees to view within their employee self-service portal, and employees will be alerted through an email notification that their schedule is ready to be viewed. So now let's talk about open shift management. On the schedule dashboard, we have a tile that is calling out any open shifts that need to be filled, and we can easily drill down into those shifts directly from here. We can easily review the shift details and assign an employee to the shift from here. And keep in mind that the system will only allow us to select an employee that meets the qualifications so that we don't create a scheduling violation. Now, rather than just assigning the shift, we also have the option to post this open shift to a set of employees and allow our employees to volunteer to pick up the shift. So let's take a look. In this case, let's pull up the schedule that included this open shift. As you can see, there is an open shift located here under the open shift panel. And right from here, we're able to post this shift out to our employees. From here, we can select the shift and select which employees we'd like to push this out to. Again, this will only allow us to post this to employees that meet the scheduling qualifications. Once this shift has been posted, these employees will receive a notification and can pick up the shift on a first-come, first-served basis. And keep in mind that any scheduling changes made after a schedule has been posted can be edited right from the schedule itself, and the changes will be pushed back to the employee. So now let's take a look at how the employee can access their schedule. As we take a look at the employee view, keep in mind that employees can access their schedule from anywhere on any device. And right from their dashboard, an employee can check out their schedule and their time off calendar for quick visibility. This will show the employee when they are scheduled to work versus scheduled to be off. It will also highlight any upcoming PTO time and company paid holidays as well. When selecting a day on the calendar, a pop-up card will display showing me additional information about my schedule or my time off. And by clicking on my schedule, I can get more detail into my entire schedule. Here, an employee can see when and where they are scheduled to work. And the system will give them everything they need to make sure they are at work in the right place at the right time. You can also give employees control over their own schedule by allowing them to pick up any open shifts based upon their qualifications and availability. And if an employee needed to swap shifts or request a change of coverage, they can initiate these scheduling changes themselves. Under the Shift Swap tab, we will get a list of eligible, qualified employees that we can swap shifts with. We can also initiate a coverage request if we need someone to pick up our shift. This could be for the entire shift or just half of the shift. Again, we can choose from a list of qualified, eligible employees to post this shift out to. Once posted, these employees will receive a notification and can pick up the shift on a first-come, first-served basis. Any requests for scheduling changes will be routed through an approval process before going into effect. Essentially, this gives employees more control over their work-life balance, which makes for happier, more productive employees.